like idli pudi. It tastes like idli pudi, normal idli pudi, and chutney. It's like and chutney. It's like normal chutney. Normal chutney, kottamalli in Tamil, they said kottamalli chutney, karupula chutney. We said like same, not big taste change anything like normally, and we ate cricket. Yeah, it's just good.
So the first time I ever ate insects, I was working at someone's homestead in Goa. It's a permaculture homestead. I was working as an intern, and I saw a cacao tree that was fruiting, and the fruit was just about to ripen, and I saw ants, and I'd never eaten cacao before, so I wanted to harvest the fruit, and I saw ants come on the fruit. And so I had to look up pest management systems, basically, or just different ways of like controlling the ants. And I was, Googling stuff, just trying to just find whatever I could, putting some chili powder, this, that, whatever. And then someone was just like, "Why don't you just eat them?" And for a minute I was like, "Is that really an option?" They said, "Yeah, loads of people eat them." And so it was just one very quick, basic Google search, and immediately I found, chutney recipes from Assam, from Chhattisgarh, from Orissa, from Jharkhand, Arunachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, basically everywhere. And I was quite shocked that, this was the first time I was hearing about it. And I started to think about who were the people who were eating insects, why hadn't we heard about them? And very, very quickly I realized that it's either, indigenous communities who are eating insects, or Dalit communities. And it doesn't take much to recognize why those foodways are not aspirational in any way. It's heavily coded by caste colonization, ideas of taboo, disgust, dirt, all these kind of like weird ideas that sort of make or use food as a vector to create an us and a them, and to say that, that food is not actually fit for human consumption, we don't like that food because we don't like those people. And it's once you see that, it sort of makes you question the whole show, really. And so that just sort of, it led me to think about why more of us weren't talking about it, why the ones who did eat them in shame, ate them hidden away. And basically, is it our responsibility to challenge that narrative? And there's a lot to learn. I think I've only just begun to scratch the surface. As you can see, I only had ants and crickets on the table today, but there's there's hundreds of different insects that we eat in India that I'm not an expert yet. I'm literally just learning. But it didn't have to travel far, is what I realized. There's instances, I'm from Bangalore, there's instances in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Kerala, immediately right around my own hometown where insects are eaten. So I don't have to go very far to Assam or Arunachal or even Madhya Pradesh or Orissa or whatever. I can very much just start in my own backyard. And funnily enough, I did. The second or third nest of ants that I picked up was from my mom's window. It's that accessible. The two most important metrics to consider as far as insects are concerned is land and water. For any other protein source, whether it's a beef, chicken, pig, whatever, pork, whatever you want to think of, you basically need horizontal land. You need land for the animals to graze. You need land for the animals to move around. And there's no alternative. You can't sort of stack them up one on top of another. But with crickets, you can. You can literally put crates of crickets one on top of another. So you're occupying a lot of vertical space, but not so much horizontal, which means you don't have to clear forests for grazing land. You don't have to clear large amounts of space to sort of grow the feed for the animals. It's very much a linear process. So you're saving a lot of land. The second thing is, I would say water is a huge, huge component. They have, I think the estimates for beef say that for 1 kg of protein from beef, you need about 22,000 liters, upwards of anywhere from 18,000 to 22,000 liters of water. But for crickets, it's under a couple of hundred for the same amount of protein, which is, again, it's more than substantial. So a lot of my research as a part of my dissertation was spent on disgust, and I really wanted to think about how much of disgust is an evolutionary concept, how much of it is socio-cultural. And what we're realizing more and more is that a lot of the disgust that we feel towards food is learnt behavior. We learn how to feel disgusted by certain food because we're taught that we need to be disgusted by certain people. So there's that's the first hurdle that you need to pass, is to understand what is the source of disgust, where is it really coming from. And the second thing is, so for example, today I did two things. I kept the crickets whole and I had them in the chutney puri, and I think that really helps the way I'm thinking about it, which is I don't want people to just look at the crickets and say, oh, gross, yuck, yuck, I don't want to eat that, I don't want to eat that. Or the other way, which is this very, like, I call it the X Factor way of eating, which is, you know, you take this zoomed in picture and you'll be like, oh, bro, you won't believe what I ate today. I ate this cricket. It's exoticizing it. It's making it seem like this crazy, bizarre thing that you did. But it's not that, you know, it's just a normal food. It's like somebody taking a really zoomed in picture of a banana and be like, bro, I ate some crazy, technically it's a berry, so I ate some crazy berry today. You know, like no one talks like that. So why are we using that kind of language with the insects? So instead of just creating a product that could be easily exoticized, I wanted it to be in a chutney puri form, which is a very familiar taste profile. It's because it's blended up with all the other ingredients you would find in a normal chutney puri. And suddenly you're just like, oh, yeah, this is nothing different. This is just regular. And that's the goal, is to be like, yes, it is just regular food. It was mixed in a regular chutney. It was put in a dry chutney puri form. It's all very familiar ways. And I think that for me, I'm realizing this is the first time I did that. So I'm also just starting out with understanding how to talk about it, how to think about it. It's a slow journey. But I think maybe there is something to say about creating a familiar product with it and introducing that product to people to say, look, it's nothing different from the chutney puri your grandmother made, or grandfather, or whoever made it, you know?
I think it's not going to be normal until the people's mindset change. For me, it takes so much time. Like what now? People started accepting the lab-growing meats. Lab-growing meats means then why did they think about crickets?
I don't think it's about going mainstream. I think it's just about returning to what was. I mean, that's something we'll learn in the workshop today. We all used to eat insects, all of us. It was a very common part of our diet and our culture. It still survives in a lot of places in India, and that's what we learned in the workshop today. And I hope it all comes back.
It's, you know, ancestral wisdom that has been passed on generation after generation. And it's a way to include diversity in your diet. It's a way to think about the ecosystem in your diet and how do you live within the ecosystem that, you know, that surrounds you. And if you're open to try it every now and then, if you're open to consider it every now and then, I think that's the start.